My whole life, I always pictured there were just two types of family in this world. There is the family you are born with, and then there is the family you make along the way. But about 3 years ago, I discovered there's a third type of family. So 3 years ago, my wife and I were celebrating our 25th anniversary. And it had always been her dream trip to go to Scotland and Ireland. So I'm like, look, you've put up with my shit for over 25 years. I'll take you wherever you want to go. So I save up some money, and we decide that we're going to take 10 days over there. We're going to do 3 days in Scotland, 7 days in Ireland. So the first 3 days we're in Scotland, and we are kind of on our own. We're not, we're just kind of doing some basic walking tours, checking things out, going to pubs, watching football matches, having a really good time. It's very casual. When we get to Ireland, it's a bus tour. So the reason we chose the bus is my wife is like, I want to make sure that I hit all the highlights. I don't want to miss anything on these bus tours. They make sure they hit all the places you go to. And I'm like, that's fine. This is your trip. I'll do whatever you want. So we end up on this bus, and we hit all the great places, the Cliffs of Moher. We go to Dublin. We're seeing rugby matches. Seeing football matches. Fantastic. Did I mention pubs? We went to pubs. So, but what made it all better were the people on the bus. Yes, it's hours and hours of sitting on a bus, but as you kind of go along, you get to know these people. And there was just some incredible people from all over, from Canada and California and Georgia and Texas. And I even met a person all the way from West York on the first day we were there, because, there are Yorkers everywhere. So we're going along, and it's days and days, and we're having a great time. And it's getting to be the last couple of days and the last day, and I'm tired of being on the bus. So we're pulling into our last hotel, and they tell us that we're going to have to wait on the bus for an hour because there's a wedding that's taking place at the hotel, and we have to wait till everyone kind of settles in, gets their stuff together. So we have to wait before we can check in. And we had been on the bus for like 4 hours, and I'm like, I don't want to sit here. So we finally get in, we get inside, we put our stuff, and we're meeting everyone downstairs for dinner. And because we'd waited so long, we were like, the menu was a little smaller because everything else, because it was getting later, and we were, now I'm getting hangry, and I'm tired, and I'm like, and then I realized that the wedding is across the hall from where we are. So I say to the people that I'm with, I'm like, let's crash the wedding. And they're like, no, we're not going to crash the wedding. I'm like, come on, it'll be fun. We'll crash the wedding. We'll see what we can get. We'll just kind of do whatever. And like, there's no way you're going to crash that wedding. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, not only am I going to crash that wedding, but I'm going to get a selfie with the bride. And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, come on, we'll do this. And they're like, no one will go. And I'm like, that's fine. So I go across the hall. I'm wearing jeans and a sweater, certainly not like wedding attire. And I get in the door, and I realize I'm looking for the bride, and I'm scoping, and there's probably a couple hundred people in the room, but I'm looking for the woman in the white dress, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I can't see her. And then I'm going to go up to where the bridal party's table is, and I'm going to ask where she is. And so I come to find out when I come in there that the groom and his groomsmen were all rugby players. And I'm like, okay, I am not. But I'm like, screw this. I committed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this selfie with the bride. So I go in, and I go up to the table, and the guys are standing up there, and they're talking and laughing, and I can tell who the groom is because all the groomsmen are kind of wearing their clothes, but he's like the groom, and he's fucking huge. I mean, he's like 6'4", and I'm like, excuse me, I am terribly sorry to interrupt you. I said, I apologize. I said, but my mom saw your wife from when we came into the hotel, and she just thought she was the most beautiful woman she had ever seen in her life, and she wanted to know if she could possibly have her photo taken with her. And he looked at me, he eyed me up and down, and I'm thinking to myself, there is no way he's going to fall for this. And he goes, yeah, I think she just went to go change. She's coming back out. So I'm like, he goes, why don't you get your mom and come back? I'm like, okay. So I walk back to the room, and I'm like, all right, I'll come right back, and I'll get my mom, okay? So I go back to where the people are, where I'm traveling with, and I'm like, I need a mom. So I'm like, screw this. I'm like, I'm talking to a couple of moms, and I find this one woman. Her name is Betty. Sweet woman. I've only got to know her a little bit over the course of the week, and I'm like, okay, Betty, here's the story. I tell her what I want to do. I want to bring her in. I said, are you game? She just blank looks at me in the eyes, and she's like, okay. I'm like, fuck, Betty's cool. So I'm like, all right, Betty, come on, let's go. And then she has like a cane with her, but she doesn't really, I noticed that, I never saw her walk with it. I said, bring the cane. So she takes the cane, and I'm not exaggerating. As soon as we crossed the threshold into that room, Betty transformed into like 20 years older and was like walking soft with the cane. She loops her arm into my arm and pretends like she can barely walk. And then we see the bride, and the groom is sending the bride over. And she comes over to me, and I just explain to her, I was like, I'm sorry, I have my mom here. Mom, this is the bride that you saw. She's like, you are so beautiful. She totally leans into it. And I'm like, I fucking love you, Betty. So I said, is it okay if we take a photo with you? And she goes, yes. And we come in, and the three of us, we take a selfie together, and then we leave the room, and Betty loops my arm, and we walk out, and I'm just like, you are the best, and I am taking you to Vegas. So we walk out, and we show everyone the photo, and we have a really good time. And then I come to realize that while there are the family that we're born with, and there are the family that we make along the way, there is most certainly the family that we fake along the way. Thank you.